Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Help Nobody Told Me. I'm Jasmine Shapiro. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in Chicago, along with my co-host and business partner, Shannon Johnson.
Hello, welcome. And we have with us today Julee Lockard. She is the owner and founder of Just Right at Home. And she has a whole lot of acronyms after that, but I'm going to let her explain.
I'm an occupational therapist, an aging in place specialist, and a fall prevention specialist. So
Okay.
That's basically what the acronyms are for.
So you started out as an occupational
Yes, and I'm
therapist.
still a licensed occupational therapist.
Okay.
30 years now. So.
Right.
So people hear occupational therapy, they're like, well, does that help people with their jobs
Yes.
or go back to work? What does that
No.
really mean?
So actually the roots of occupational therapy have to do with how you occupy your time. So, I mean, I know it sounds so, now it
Okay.
means work, right? But it's about helping people do the things they want to do every day. And in this context, it's in their home, right? And we're trying to help people be independent with the things they have to do. We call them activities of daily living, the everyday practical things at home. We look at not just the person and their abilities, but the environment and the strategies that they use in order to help make them as safe and independent as possible for as long as possible.
Wonderful.
So give us a daily activity, daily living activity. So like
Dressing yourself in the morning, or
Okay.
taking a shower, or maybe making, cooking, or taking care of your pet. Any of those things, going out to the mailbox.
So being able to live independently and
Correct.
do those things.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So why is an occupational therapist involvement so important when you're at home and maybe you start getting older and you can't do all those things?
Because
Yes.
one of the things that you told us when we talked to you is you actually partner with construction and remodeling and
Correct.
things like this. So
Yes.
what does that, why do you do that and why is it important?
Right. So the reason that the occupational therapy role is so important is because we're designing for the person. We're not following, ADA or any of those other things. We're looking at what does this particular person need to be able to be successful and independent in their home. So, having been a therapist for 30 years, I've seen, a lot of people in their homes, tried a lot of different things, many different pieces of equipment, many strategies, and we really have a good idea of what works and what doesn't work for people. So we bring that expertise, but it's always a collaboration. What might work for one person might not work for another person. What's right for somebody that's 4'5" is different than somebody that's 6'8". So it's really looking at what the person does, their preferences, how they function, in order to help them.
So things
design
like
the home.
that might affect the placement of the grab bars.
Correct.
How they use those,
Yes.
all that kind of.
I once had a family where the daughter was taking care of her mother, and she had late stage dementia. And the typical grab bar by standards is usually set between 33 and 36. I had the contractor put it at 5 feet tall. The reason was she could pull herself up, but she couldn't pull herself up this in front of her. She had to reach up to pull herself up. If it was straight across, she was dead weight. If she pulled herself into standing, then she could do it with very little assistance, and her daughter could help her shower and do the things she needed to do.
Interesting.
So, and you wouldn't know that unless you evaluated the person, the
actual
situation,
thing,
and
right.
to see what was going on
So
and what
is
made
there
things easier.
a common thing that most people ask for, or is it also individualized?
It's very individualized as far as like what the recommendations are. I mean, some of the common themes are things like zero thresholds in showers, making sure that there's proper support around straight walkways into different areas, no thresholds, adequate lighting. So there are definitely, the doorways being wide enough for equipment and just in general, that you're not dinging doorways every time you walk through them. So there's definitely common things, but yeah.
Do you have to tell people like roll up those like little floor mats?
Oh
that are
yeah, all the
everywhere?
time.
I think those are such a tripping hazard.
Yes, they really are. And and people are like, well, I've had that rug 40 years.
I know.
I've never had a problem with it. I'm like, well, not yet.
Yeah.
Have you
Thank
used
goodness.
it? Thank goodness.
Every time I'm with my mom, I
Yes.
say, Mom, pick up your feet.
Yes.
Pick up your feet.
Exactly.
So
Starting to shuffle or using a mobility device like a rolling walker can catch the edge. So if it's really not possible, just they love their rug so much, they got it on some really special trip, then the next best thing is to really just take some double side tape, go all the way around, make sure, especially in the high traffic areas, and just make sure it's really well adhered. So
So what led you to focus on aging in place and home safety?
Yeah, so we found as a traditional therapist, that people did want to make some changes, but they didn't know where to go to get over the finish line. Like they didn't know exactly what to do in their own home, who to call, what needed to happen afterwards, how to use the equipment and things after things were in place. I mean, I come into homes and the chairs, people don't realize they can be adjusted. So they're always on the lowest setting, maybe turned around backwards with the arm on the wrong side. There's always a lot of things that people just don't know what they don't know. And then when I come in, it's like, oh, let's do this, let's raise it up, let's do this. They're like, oh,
Even
why
the
didn't I
walker.
think of that?
Even the walker is adjustable, so you don't end up all hunched
Exactly,
over it. You
exactly.
can actually stand up straight.
Yes.
Yes.
And one of my big tricks for walkers, if there's not a ton of balance, I mean, there's always some balance concerns, you're using a walker, but when doorways are narrow, one of the tricks I sometimes do is I take the wheels and put them on the inside, just reverse the wheels, because it makes you 3 inches narrower. So when you're trying to turn in a tiny bathroom or try to get through a small doorway, it gives you an extra space to maneuver in those small spaces.
Interesting.
So it's just always looking at the person, the equipment, and the setup to see what's going to work best for that person.
Right.
Sure. So most people think aging in place and planning is for much later in life. We don't think about it till it's too late.
That's so true.
So when do they really need to start thinking about this?
This is my message I really want to get out, is that it's never too early. I mean, if you think you're going to stay in your home for a while, it makes sense to start thinking about that with planned remodels. If you're going to be doing your bathroom, do you really want to do it again in 15 years when you're in crisis? Think about maybe adding a zero entry shower, or at least wide doors, or putting the bracing in for grab bars wherever. They don't have to hit a stud then if you put the bracing if you're down.
And they
to the
make
studs.
grab bars now that
Gorgeous.
are pretty.
Yes.
They don't have to be what you see in the
Absolutely.
ADA compliant bathroom
Absolutely.
at the restaurant or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you can get any color finish. Dual function are one of my favorite tricks. It looks like a toilet paper roll, but it's also actually a grab assist bar, or towel bar that actually is a grab assist bar.
Oh, nice.
So I often will tell people when they're in that remodel stage, even in their 40s, 50s, 60s, go ahead and put it in as a grab bar, towel bar. Use it as a towel bar, but it's there because
Right.
people will tell me all the time, oh, I'm just using it for a little bit of balance. But
And Jasmine and I both have personal experiences where that came in handy because their construction person said, let's go ahead and put a grab bar in here because you might need it someday. And they were like, really?
And then they said the same thing. Well, let's at least brace the wall. Like everything's out. Let's
Right.
brace the wall.
Right.
Great. And then my husband went and played basketball and
Yes.
broke his foot or something. I can't
Like
remember.
within a month or something.
Exactly.
And it was
Yeah.
like before we were done. Okay, put the grab bar in.
That is so very true. You just never know when a family member might have a temporary,
Right.
ailment and
Totally.
need
I
that.
blew out both
So-
knees. It was like a 9-month ordeal, you know,
Yes.
like I need a grab bar.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That is so very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they're not ugly now makes it a lot more palatable for more people to be willing
Absolutely.
to put them in. Like you said, it looks like a towel bar. Who cares?
Exactly.
Right.
So many people will say to me, I don't want my house to look like a hospital. And I'm
Right.
like, well, we want to design.
either.
No, we don't either. That's why I'm
Right.
here. I want you to know there are beautiful options out there that integrate into your space.
Right.
And we just need to design it that way so it works well for you.
Right. And I think the title of our podcast, Help Nobody Told Me, is because people do get into a crisis situation.
Yes.
And now they're like panicking. What do I do? We want to prevent that.
Absolutely.
If we can give you information, because you tuned in and now you know that there are options for you, go ahead and do it now. Don't
Right.
wait till you're at that point.
Right.
Yes, you have the benefit of time. You can take more into check and look at what options are
Yes.
out there, contractor availability.
Right.
When you're in crisis, you often have to rely on other family members, and they're trying to do this while they're dealing with you in crisis in the hospital, trying to get your house ready.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of stress for everybody.
It's very stressful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The
for
other
sure.
point too is visitability. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term before, but I had a doctor friend call me just around Thanksgiving and say, I need you. Apparently my house is a death trap. My in-laws were here and they both were highly mobile, no assistive device or mobility device or anything. But they said that her house was very unsafe for them. They got used to whatever they have in their home. It's when you're in a different environment.
Yes.
It's a different setup.
Yes.
So she said, before they come back, I need you to come over and tell me what I need to do to get this ready for them. So thinking about family members that are coming over for the holidays, maybe they're staying with you, or maybe they're just visiting.
Right.
But the bathroom, I know grandmas are always concerned, am I going to be able to get off the toilet? It'll be so embarrassing if I have to ask for help.
Right.
You know, the kids are carrying her in a wheelchair, or one on each arm, trying to get in the house.
You got the 16-year-old boy going,
I know. So just having those minimum things done to make your home, accessible and visitable for whoever in your family or life
That's
might
so
need.
true.
Well, and let's be real, having a comfort height toilet, it's great for all of us. You don't have to be grandma to want a comfort.
Unless you're 4 or 3.
Okay, maybe that.
Yeah. So what about people who are concerned, like these changes, what is it going to do when I won't go and sell my house?
Exactly. Well, you probably know this very well, being in real estate, the housing market is very nominal. I mean, under 5% of homes can even support somebody with a moderate disability. So even though people think, I'm looking for that ranches can often be unsuitable as well, with the narrow hallways, tiny doors.
Yes.
Still have 2 or 3 steps to get in. Sometimes you're better off taking your current space if you love your neighborhood and you love where you live, you love your house, don't want to uproot, and taking your home and making it more accessible. So every situation is different. I currently have a family who, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's a couple years ago, and they had me come and do a home assessment, and they told me this is the most valuable 2 hours we have spent in our entire process of going through this diagnosis. And then they said, and we're going to move, so we want you to come
down to the place.
I wanted to know what was going to work for their home now, and they did a ton of it. I mean, they put in all these beautiful grab bars, and we talked about daily routines and where to do, lowering the bed and what to do to make it safe for her now, while they were thinking about moving closer to family. So they want me to be involved with working with the real estate agents and planning their new home.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some early warning signs that a home isn't supporting someone who's physically living in it?
You'll see maybe struggling to get out of chairs or tripping, or you might see finger marks along walls from people using that for support. You'll notice reaching for furniture, tripping on the thresholds, or the rug. I had a gentleman just a couple weeks ago who had his foot caught under his rug while I was sitting, and he went to stand. He was starting to stand up. I'm like, "Do you realize your foot is under your area rug?" And he's like, "No, he didn't even notice." So, of course, I got my double-sided tape out of my bag and taped it down right then and there. So
Because you carry it with you.
yeah, it's with me in my bag.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What should homeowners realistically start paying attention to before the fall?
Right.
Before a diagnosis? Like, we talked about some of the warning signs if you're family visiting, but you own the home. Like, I'm here. What do I need to pay attention to?
I feel like we've kind
of talked about
a
some
little
of
bit.
it. Yeah.
It's probably changes in the way you're using it.
Yes.
Like you might have lived in this home for 20 years.
And you're just not used to, you're not noticing that your body is changing. So then your home needs to evolve with you as you're changing.
Right.
We empty nest, right? Or we childproof. So we need to think about creating that forever home, or that
Even
future
the
home.
way you use your kitchen.
Right.
And is it safe for you to
Be bending.
bend
Exactly.
down or reach? You can't get on the ladder anymore.
Nope.
So
So that's one of the things that in a session that we'll do is we'll rearrange the kitchen and put things that between hip and eye level. That's as much as we can put daily use items between hip and eye level. And we'll think about, do you really need the pans under the stove, or could we put your 2 favorite pans on the pull-out shelf that's next to your stove, or even in the first level cabinet? Is it possible? Could we think about doing that? And it might take some getting used to.
Right.
And we're all
But-
creatures of habit,
yes,
right?
right.
We've been living with.
You don't notice. You don't notice.
We don't
right?
really notice the difference until all of a sudden a third party comes in and says this would be better.
Yes.
And
why didn't
then-
I think of that? I hear that all the time.
So do
Mhm.
people fight you on it, or do they say, I don't know that I want to do it yet, and then
A little
call
bit
you
of
back?
both. A little bit of both. And the ones who usually are the ones that call me are very grateful, and they're like, "Boy,
Yes.
I wish I would have thought of that. Why didn't I
Yes.
think of that? It's so practical, you know."
Right.
But again, you're living in it all the time. As we get older, our vision starts to decrease. We need about 3 times the amount of light when we're 60 as we did when we were 20. So increasing the
Yes.
lighting, increasing the lighting.
How many
is
of you turn the
important.
flashlight on your phone at the restaurant?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I bought the little lights that they have at the
I
restaurant.
love those lights. I know. When we redid our bathroom, that was the thing I told the contractor. I need light.
More light.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was the number one. That and storage.
Well, my number one recommendation is, you might like this for yourself too and for everyone, but is under the bed motion detected lights.
I hear that that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
so
That
they
in the
just
bathroom.
And then in the bathroom.
in the bathroom under the cabinets, but the motion detection is key because people are reaching for lights in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. They're groggy. They gotta go.
Right.
And it's dark, and the bed might be too high, and it's a recipe for a fall.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that kind of leads to the question of what are the most common hidden fall risks? We know it's rugs. We know, you don't want to be reaching or leaning all the way down, but what are the hidden things that people don't think about?
Bed height is a big one, I'd say. You're used to, I just did an evaluation recently, the bed height was 33 inches. The kitchen
Yeah,
counter is
they are-
36. The lady has 2 steps
They
to go
are
in.
really tall now.
Yes,
I
yes.
know.
And they say to each other, don't fall. She's scared to death. She's going to fall. Don't fall, the husband tells her. I'm like, okay, can we change the bed?
Right.
Can we think about what we can do to make this bed? I said, it needs to come down 10 inches. There's lots of creative ways to do that,
Great.
but it needs to come down 10 inches. So kind of working through what the
And
preferences
how
are.
how old is your bed, too, probably?
Yes. Well, I'm
Is it
sure
time
it's
for a new
beautiful.
one?
It was beautiful.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
that's part of the rub, right? They don't use the beautiful furniture.
Yeah.
So
Okay, what room raises the most red flags?
always bathroom, I'd
know
say.
it.
You're going to say that, yeah. And I never understand why people put in marble flooring. That just makes me so nervous. But I would say bathrooms because of the combination of maybe standing on one foot when you're stepping in and out with water, soap,
Sharp
closing,
edges.
Yep, closing your eyes. When we lose our balance when we close our eyes as we get older. We really rely on our vision.
Yeah.
So that's another. When you wash your hair, wash your face. So I encourage people to put in a little teak seat. And I know those mornings I have one in my shower. I'll sit down and just want to
Yes.
wake up a minute.
Especially when it's freezing cold out.
Yes, yes,
Shower.
Yes. So there's no shame in using a seat
Or a
in the
nice
shower.
bench when you're remodeling.
Yeah. Actually, I discourage those. I'll tell you why. Because it takes up precious space that you might need flexibly later.
Okay.
So what works for you now might not work for you later. So I always tell people leave the space open. For example, I have people that just use a standard seat now, but I know in the future maybe they have a critical diagnosis like ALS or dementia or something where they might need a tilt in space shower chair, a fancy shower chair, and you want to be able to get in there. The seats are always too low, too slippery, too far away from the water, never in the right spot. So there's a lot of reasons to not want to put in a seat. Yes.
And that's why you need an expert assessment because we're not experts.
So what do you say to families like kids who know that their parents need some help, but their parents are resisting?
Yes.
I think this
That is-
conversation can hold true for what you're offering. If they need to get some caregivers to come in. I know my mother resisted me at first.
Absolutely. It's
If
such
you
a
need to
tough.
take their car keys. I mean, all of
All
those
of-
steps are, like independence that they feel like it's getting taken away. How do you have that conversation if you know your parents want to live in their
Yeah.
home, but it's time that we need to make some changes?
There's often a lot of emotion there, the
Yes.
dynamics between the family and things like
Yes.
that. That's very natural to have that resistance. And I just think what it boils down to is for you to pose to your parents, like, what is your goal here? Is it that you want to stay in this house? Then let's get a professional opinion in here, neutral, and see what it would take to do that. Or maybe, because when I make recommendations, I might not suggest the whole huge bathroom remodel. Contractor might. But I might say we just need a tub bench, a couple grab bars, somebody here just while you're showering, but not in here. But you know what I mean? Just to
Right.
have some backup things or buttons, a safety device that you've got your phone close if something goes south. I might have some suggestions that don't require a ton of money, a ton of disruption. That they might be willing to consider, and planting seeds. When I see a family I always give some short term, this would be great to do now, but if you're thinking longer term, here's some ideas to help you be able to remain in your house longer. And I just leave that report with them, and they can just have it to sit on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just have to plant those seeds.
They need to digest it.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different, those 2 hours that we usually spend go fast. They're pretty intense, and there's a lot of new ideas they haven't thought about.
And they have to accept it. A lot of times they're in denial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do kids ever want you to come in and talk while they're there, but they don't?
Oh, I invite them.
Okay.
So I want second ears and second eyes.
Oh, that's a good way of doing it. Yeah.
So that it's a lot of material, and I get some different information from the kids than I do from the parents.
Right.
They tend to downplay. So I prefer it if they are willing to. But if there's too much drama there, then I'll just say, let me just see what's happening.
Or if they live out of state.
Correct. Right.
Right.
So let's do a lightning round.
A lightning round.
Some really quick questions.
Sure.
First thing that comes into your mind.
Okay.
One home feature you wish people thought about 10 years earlier.
The threshold of the shower. That's the big one. It might as well be Mount Everest for some people, that little threshold. Think about when you blew out both knees.
Yes.
Yes. So that especially if you're in a process of remodeling, and I think contractors are a lot more open to zero entry showers or spa or European showers now than they were even 10 years ago. But having that person to help advocate for you, because they still won't usually want to put in a little lip. So
Right. But if you have a device, you have to get over that lip. I mean, it can be difficult.
yes, and there are ways to build it up after the fact. But if they're doing your bathroom anyway,
Right.
Just
you
do
know,
it. Right.
Right. Why don't you just use ADA standards?
because that's meant for commercial buildings. It's not meant for home. We're designing for the family and the home.
Okay.
And the individual.
And the individual. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. So and occupational therapists really understand disease process as medical professionals. We understand like what normal aging looks like, but also if you have Parkinson's disease or if you're going to have a hip replacement and have precautions or whatever the situation is, we understand what function will look like. So
Right.
mhm.
So it could be a kid who had a football injury,
Correct.
or it could be anything. Like it's not just elderly.
Correct. Car accident.
Car
God forbid.
accident.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the most common safety risk people completely overlook?
Let's see. The floors for sure. The floors with thresholds and that sort of thing. But the other thing that people overlook that I think can make a big difference are the chairs that you sit in. The swivel, rocking, low chairs. Yes.
My husband had a hip replacement.
Yes.
We were having dinner and we had swivel stools at our island, and
Oh.
he swiveled and dislocated his brand new hip.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would never have thought that, right?
Right.
Got rid of those chairs.
You got rid of this.
Yes. Oh.
One small change that makes the biggest, difference in daily independence.
I was thinking the chair when we were talking about that. What's another one? I would maybe railings on a garage door. That I didn't think of that till that's another one. People are trying to carry things in and it's awkward and you've got 2 steps. So I think railings in that area are also very helpful, and motion lights. So even if your other light goes out,
Yes.
that you've got something to stay
That's
on.
a great one, the motion lights.
Motion
yeah.
lights.
And what's a myth about aging in place that you'd love to retire for good?
That it's not for me. I mean, that's for my neighbor, or I don't
Yeah.
need those things yet, or it's never too soon to be proactive and to start thinking about, especially if you're planning to stay, or like you said, if something happens in your family and you need to make those changes. It's about being proactive and not reactive.
I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it.
You gave us such good information
This
today.
is, man, this was like a really action. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time, Julie.
So, and if people want to get a hold of you,
Yes.
we will have,
We will have
your
all of Julie's contact information in the show
Thank
notes.
you. Thank you.
And we are so glad that you joined us again on Help Nobody Told Me.